Hi, I'm Dawn with Drucker Diagnostics, and today we're going to review the basic operations of your DashFlex 24 centrifuge. If you're looking for something specific, look at the bottom of your screen. This video is divided into chapters so you can easily find what you need. DashFlex 24 Basic Operations Guide. Part 1. Unboxing the DashFlex 24. To open your centrifuge box, you'll want a pair of scissors to easily remove the packaging. With your box open, you can slide the centrifuge out. Your centrifuge will come with an accessories kit. We'll cover this in detail later. Once you're done unpacking, you should have all of these items. Part 2. Setting up the DashFlex 24. Let's start by making sure we have all our necessary accessories. These came out of your accessory kit, the small box packed on top of your centrifuge. You'll need your power cord, your tube holders, your quick start insert, and your centrifuge. If you're missing anything, please contact Drucker Diagnostics. Start by placing the centrifuge on a flat, level, sturdy surface. Leave at least 6 inches or 15 centimeters of space on all sides and at least 21 inches or 54 centimeters of height above the lid so you can easily open it. Locate the power cord that was included in the accessories box when you unpacked your DashFlex 24. Plug it into the back of your centrifuge and then into the wall. Make sure your outlet is easily accessible so you can unplug your centrifuge for cleaning and maintenance. Locate the power switch on the back of your DashFlex 24 and flip this switch to the on position. With the DashFlex 24 plugged in and switched on, its displays will illuminate. Now we're ready to unlock our centrifuge. Your DashFlex 24 has a safety lock. The centrifuge will lock whenever the rotor is spinning, 60 seconds after a cycle has finished, and it will be locked when your centrifuge arrives from our factory. To unlock our centrifuge, we'll need to look at our control panel. To unlock the centrifuge, press the Stop Unlock button. If you'd like a more in-depth overview of these controls, a link to a full overview video is on your screen. Now we can twist our lid latch and lift the lid open. You can see our rotor here inside. Your DashFlex 24 comes with its rotor installed and ready to run. All we need to do is place our tube holders. You can see the slots all around the rotor. Simply place one black tube holder in each. When the tube holders are properly seated, you will be able to move them slightly. And this is by design. That's what allows them to rise into their horizontal spin position. They do not click or snap into place. Your DashFlex 24 has only authentic Drucker parts, including the rotor and tube holders. You should only use authentic Drucker parts in your centrifuge, as anything else may damage your centrifuge or even be dangerous. Now that we have our DashFlex 24 set up, we can look at our controls. Part 3. Controls Overview. Your DashFlex 24 has all of its controls right here on the front panel. The RPM screen, which displays the currently selected speed in RPMs. The RPMs can be adjusted using the buttons next to this screen. A single press up increases by 50, and a press down decreases by 50. As we adjust, the RPM value shown on the screen will adjust too. If you overshoot or undershoot your desired RPM, you can always use the up or down arrows to adjust. The RCF XG button displays the G-force in the RPM window. If you press and hold the RCF XG button, you can adjust by G-force using the buttons next to the RPM display. These 3 indicator lights show the status of your DashFlex 24. The left light is illuminated when it's running. The middle light is illuminated when the lid lock is engaged. The lid lock automatically engages when the centrifuge runs, so anytime the left light is illuminated, the middle one will be too. The right light shines when the lid is unlocked. The lid will automatically unlock at the end of the cycle, so you can twist the lid latch open and remove your samples. It will stay unlocked for 60 seconds, 1 minute. After that, it will lock again. If the lid is locked, you can unlock it with the Stop Unlock button. If the centrifuge is running, this will stop it mid-spin. If it's not running, this button will unlock the lid. The Start button starts the centrifuge. When you press Start, the DashFlex 24 will run whatever settings are currently displayed on its screens. The Time display shows the selected time in minutes and seconds. Like RPM, time can be adjusted using the up and down arrow buttons next to it. The time shown on screen will dynamically adjust as you raise or lower it. Also like the RPM, if you overshoot or undershoot your desired time, you can use the up and down arrows to get back to your desired time. When you start your centrifuge, the time screen becomes a countdown timer, showing how much time remains in your cycle. Your centrifuge will spin for a little while before that timer starts counting down. That's because the countdown doesn't start until your centrifuge is up to speed. That way your tubes get spun at the appropriate speed for the appropriate time. The brake setting controls whether brake will be applied as the centrifuge slows down at the end of each cycle. Brake can be set from 0, no braking at all, to 9 for maximum braking. To adjust braking, press and hold the cycle button until you hear a double beep. Then press the menu button to enter the advanced menu. Brake should be displayed in the RPM screen. Use the up and down arrows next to the time screen to adjust the brake setting. 0 is no braking, while 9 is maximum braking. Once your brake setting is as desired, press Cycle to exit the menu. The centrifuge will run with the selected brake setting until you change it, or until you load a saved setting with a different brake setting. More on saved cycles in a minute. The Cycle button switches between saved settings, and the display next to it shows the number of the currently selected cycle. A dash means you have no saved cycle selected. Your DashFlex 24 can save up to 10 cycles. A saved cycle is a combination of RPM, time, and brake settings stored in system memory for easy recall later. The system automatically assigns each one a number, visible in the window next to the Cycle button. The centrifuge will automatically name the cycle as well. Mem4 for the first one, Mem5 for the second, etc. We can create a new saved cycle by adjusting our centrifuge as desired, and then pressing and holding the Cycle button. And those are your controls. Now, let's look at how to load your DashFlex 24 and spin your first samples. Part 4, Spinning Samples. Before we can spin a cycle, we need to make sure that the centrifuge is correctly loaded. That means the samples it will spin are balanced. Like any centrifuge, the DashFlex 24 should always be run with a balanced load. This helps keep the lab safe and ensures the maximum lifespan for your centrifuge. First, make sure that all 6 tube holders are properly seated in the DashFlex 24 rotor. They do not snap into place, but should be seated one per slot in the rotor. Next, we need to balance our centrifuge rotor. Balancing happens in 2 different dimensions. The tube holders must be balanced around the rotor, and the tubes need to be balanced within that tube holder. Let's start by balancing around the rotor, and then adjusting placement within each tube holder as needed. To be balanced around the rotor, each tube holder must hold a tube or tubes of the equivalent size and fill volume as the tube or tubes loaded in the tube holder across from it. So if I've got 4 10 ml tubes over here, I need 4 10 ml tubes over here as well. If you've got an uneven number of tubes, don't worry. We'll explain what to do about that in the next step. With this loading guidance in mind, start distributing your tubes into the tube holders. You can use 2, 3, 4, or 6 tube holders, depending on how many tubes you are spinning. Just remember to make sure the tube holders are carrying equivalent weights. Once you've got that equivalent loading, follow the diagram on your screen to balance the equally weighted tube holders around the rotor. Red indicates an equivalently filled tube holder. Now, what happens if you're running different tube sizes, say 4 ml and 10 ml volume tubes? You can run them in the same spin. Just make sure to follow the equivalent size and fill volume rule. If you've got two 4 ml and two 10 ml in one tube holder, you'll need two 4 ml and two 10 ml in the other matching tube holder. Alternatively, you can load these tubes into 4 tube holders instead of 2. For that, you'd place two 4 ml across from the other two 4 ml and two 10 ml across from the other two 10 ml. Once you've got your tube holders placed, it's time to balance the tubes within these holders. For this part, you want to think of each tube holder and the one across the rotor from it as a pair. If you've got 3 tube holders loaded, we'll talk about that in a minute. So, this tube holder pairs up with this one across from it, this one with that one, and so on. The tube loading within this pair must be balanced. If you have 1, 2, or 3 tubes loaded, refer to the diagram on your screen for the appropriate loading. If you've got 4 tubes loaded, you're all set. If you've got 3 tube holders in place, you'll need to either have 2 tubes or 4 tubes in each holder. There's no way to get symmetry with 1 tube or 3 tubes. You can redistribute your tubes into a 4th bucket, or you can use a counterbalance tube, or 2 or 3, to hit that 2 or 4 per bucket fill. If you don't have enough tubes to balance your centrifuge, you'll need to create a stand-in to fill the gap. We call this a counterbalance tube. This should be an identical tube filled with an equivalent volume of water as the blood tube that it will match. If the volumes are equivalent, the weights should be too, and you'll get the balance you want. Use your filled counterbalance like a regular tube to get your balance around the rotor. With your tube holders in place and your samples loaded and balanced, you're ready to spin. Close the lid. Secure the lid latch by pressing it down gently and turning it a quarter turn counterclockwise. Next, adjust your settings. You can adjust RPM and time using the arrow buttons next to the display windows. For a more detailed guide, click the link on your screen. In our case, we're going to run 4200 RPM for 3 minutes, but you can run whatever setting you like. Once you're done programming, double-check your settings. Next, press the Start button. The centrifuge will automatically lock, and the rotor will begin to spin, accelerating until it reaches your selected RPM. It will then run for your chosen time. You can see time remaining on the time screen. Once the run is complete, the centrifuge will begin to slow down, applying the rotor brake at the level you selected. When the rotor is fully stopped, the centrifuge will beep and the lid lights will flash to let you know it's done. The centrifuge will automatically unlock. Turn the lid latch a quarter turn counterclockwise and then lift the lid to retrieve your spun samples. And that's all there is to it. You just ran your first cycle. Now, let's look at how you should clean and maintain your DashFlex 24. Part 5, Cleaning and Maintaining. Your DashFlex 24 requires no regular maintenance. Cleaning is easy too. Start by turning your DashFlex 24 off. Then, unplug it from the wall. Your centrifuge should always be off and unplugged before you do any kind of cleaning. Make sure to wear appropriate PPE in accordance with your lab's policies. Use isopropyl alcohol or 10% 5500 ppm bleach solution to clean. Only the approved isopropyl alcohol or 10% bleach solution should be used. Any other substance is not approved and may cause damage to your centrifuge or void the warranty. Apply your isopropyl alcohol or 10% bleach solution with a cloth. Do not submerge the centrifuge in water. Dry your DashFlex 24 immediately after finishing cleaning and disinfecting, and then be sure it's plugged in and turned on so it's ready for the next use. Your DashFlex 24 does not require any regular maintenance, but you may wish to confirm the spin speed. To do that, you'll need a phototachometer like the one shown here. Your rotor has a reflective strip on it, so the phototachometer can easily detect the speed. Just start the cycle you wish to test, wait a minute or two for it to reach its peak speed, and point your phototachometer down through the clear lid. You'll quickly get a reading. And that brings us to the end of our basic operations for the DashFlex 24. We unboxed and set up our centrifuge. We reviewed its accessories and controls. We also learned how to spin our first cycle and how to clean and maintain it. If you have any other questions about your DashFlex 24, you can always contact Drucker customer service and we'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching and have a great day.